First.
Let's see how many have joined now. Only 15 participants is there. Let's see. Now we go to the second part of this chapter, that is paid in capital of the corporation. Paid in capital is in fact a contributed capital. The actual cash or in-kind investments by the shareholders is called paid in capital. What actually they have paid in, okay, at the time of when the company raised its share capital. Or other thing is retained earnings. The profit which the companies earned over the period from the retention of profits earned by the corporation over time. It is called retained earnings. So the company have two sort of financing available. One is called paid-in capital and other is retained earnings. Paid-in capital is raised when the company is first time uh, incorporated and the shareholders have contributed a certain sum of money. Okay. And second thing is retained earning, which is the accumulated profit over the years. Okay. Whenever a company got charter from the Securities Exchange Commission, it has a certain limit to raise the capital, and that limit is called authorized capital. How much they are authorized to raise as a capital. Okay. The articles of incorporations specify the number of shares that the corporation is authorized to issue by the state of incorporation. Okay. The issue of capital stock will be sold to the general public, must be approved by the Federal Securities and Exchange Commission as well as by the state officials. Okay. And before asking people to contribute in the companies, they have to get it underwrite. There are certain institutions which underwrite that if general public does not subscribe capital to the company, they will buy those shares and they will charge underwriting fee. They are specialized in underwriting. Okay. There are certain terminologies in the share capital. One is called par value. Par value means the value which is written on the shares. You may have acquired a share of rupee 1. You may have acquired shares of rupee 5. It depends on the corporation, which denomination they are raising share capital. Par value means face value or stated value over the share. That is also called a legal capital. Okay. If any question, you can write it down and we can answer those in a question answer session. Whenever company issues stocks, whenever a company issues a stock, the general entry would be the cash account is debited and capital stock is credited. And if any above amount in excess of the stated amount or the par value, it is called additional paid in capital. Suppose you have issued 10,000 shares of two par value stocks. The par value is $2 and you have issued at a $10. The capital stock figure should be 2 into 10,000, that is 20,000. And any excess amount is called additional paid in capital. That is additional. And this scenario happens when there is a good prospects. When there is a good bright prospects for the company, then shareholders agree to pay $10 against a share of $2. Okay. So the entry is capital stock is credited, additional paid in credited, and cash account is debited. This is the first entry, and it is usually learned by every student of the business studies. How this would appear in the balance sheet? There is a stockholders equity portion where you will write write capital stock to par value, authorized 50,000 shares. They have authorized to get financing for 50,000 shares. But here, companies have issued only 10,000 shares. So 10,000 shares into 2 is 20,000. And company have issued those shares at the price of $10. So they get $80,000 as additional paid in capital. So now total paid in capital is 100,000. And if there is any retained earnings available, that is also shown in shareholders, stockholders equity portion. And now total stockholder equity is $250,000. Okay. Sometimes the term is used no par stock. No par stock means that the company has not assigned any value to those shares. It can be sell in the market at $2 or it may be sell at $10. Whatever the price is admitted by the market, it will be credited to capital stock and there is no additional paid in capital. So you can be asked with what is the par value and what is no par stock. We can specifically say, see its definition. Some states allow corporations to issue stocks without designating a par or stated value. When this no par stock is issued, the entire issue price is credited to the capital stock account and is viewed as a legal capital not subject to withdrawal. It means in this case, when there is no par stock, cash account is debited and capital stock account is credited and there is no additional paid in capital. Okay. Let's move ahead. There are two types of stocks. One is common stock and other is preferred stock. Preferred stock, as its name depicts, preference. The shareholders or stockholders who possess preferred stock, they have a certain preferences. Like if the dividend has to be declared, they have the first right. Likewise, in the event of the liquidation, they have the first right. Okay. Whenever the company has to raise a certain capital and it's not getting in the normal course of business, then they will go for preferred stock and they will offer certain privileges to the stockholders, and these stockholders will get preferred stock, not a common stock. Okay. Usually the common stock is issued. Common stock possesses the traditional rights of ownership. They have a voting rights, participation in dividends, and residual claim assets in the event of liquidation. They have these rights. In the case of the preferred stock, they have no voting rights. They have a preference in terms of dividends, and they have a preference at the time of liquidation. How this will be appear in the stockholders equity? They will be shown first in comparison to common stock holders. Like if you notice, it is written as 9%. What it means? It means they will get 9% dividend in any case. When the company earns a profit, they will get a 9% dividend. And here it is another terminology, cumulative. Cumulative means if for certain reasons they don't get dividend in 2024, and if in 2025 the companies have profits, they will pay 2024 dividend as well to those preferred stockholders. There are certain terminologies, cumulative and participative, and so on. For the time being, you understand that cumulative means you have to pay all dividends, whether they have and some areas. You have to pay for the those periods where you didn't pay dividend to the preferred stockholders. Okay, like I repeat, if in 2024 you didn't pay dividend to the preferred stockholders, and if you have to pay dividend 2025, first you pay the dividend of 2024, then you will pay the dividend of 2025. Okay, after paying dividend to those stockholders, you can pay dividend to the common stockholders. And here, additional patent capital is also possible for preferred stock, for common stock, and this way, your shareholders' equity portion will be shown in the balance sheet. So, these are the characteristics of the preferred stock. Preference over common stock as to dividends. प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स वालों को पहले मिलेगा, कॉमन स्टॉक होल्डर्स वालों को बाद में मिलेगा. क्यूमुलेटिव डिविडेंड राइट्स. क्यूमुलेटिव डिविडेंड्स राइट्स मैंने आपको बता दिया कि अगर किसी साल आप नहीं दे सकें तो अगली दफा जब दे रहे होंगे तो उनका पिछला जो एरिया रहता है वो भी आपने पे करना. प्रेफरेंस ओवर कॉमन स्टॉक एज टू एसेट्स इन द इवेंट ऑफ द लिक्विडेशन ऑफ द कंपनी. कंपनी जब लिक्विडेट होगी तो पहले इनको पैसे दिए जाएंगे, बाद में कॉमन स्टॉक होल्डर्स को. कॉलेबल एट द ऑप्शन ऑफ द कॉर्पोरेशन. प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक को आप कॉल भी कर सकते हैं, यानी कि जिन्होंने के पास प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक था आप उन्हें कहेंगे भाई हमारे शेयर्स वापस कर दो और हमसे पैसे ले लो. आप उनको कॉल कर सकते हैं और इनके कोई वोटिंग पावर्स नहीं होते. So there are two types. One is non-cumulative and other is cumulative. In cumulative portion, you have to pay dividend in any case. Okay. Likewise, if we see the scenario of the cumulative, in 2009 you have paid dividend 80,000. In 2010 you have paid dividend only of 20,000. It means 60,000 is area. And if in 2011 you have to pay the dividend, you have to pay 80,000 for 2011 and 60,000 area of 2010. Here you would pay dividends for 140,000. Okay. Whereas in the case of non-cumulative, if you don't pay dividend for 2010, you don't need to be pay area in 2011. Cumulative means it carries areas and non-cumulative means it doesn't carries areas. Now see what is book value per share of common stock. Book value per share is the amount of net assets represented by each share of stock. Say the stockholders' equity is 120,000 and outstanding shares are 4,000. Okay, the book value would be 30. Okay, 120,000 divided by 4,000, the book value would be 30. So the book value per share is 30. This is written here. It is computed by dividing the stockholders' equity of 120,000 by the number of shares held. Okay, so the book value per share is 30. कि आपके बुक्स के मुताबिक हर शेयर की वैल्यू है 30, जबकि ये इशू कितने पे हुआ था? 1 par वैल्यू पे. This is par value that is written on the share script on the paper of the share, whereas its book value is 30. Now this book value is maybe different with the market value, because the market value is judged based on the certain factors like future earning capacity, future contracts, and so on. In this case, the equity of common stockholders is 1.3 million and number of shares outstanding are 50,000. Then the book value is $26. Okay. And how we can arrive at the equity portion of common stockholders? That is, if we deduct preference stockholders share from the total stockholder equity, the remaining is the common stockholder equity. ठीक है, देखो बेटा यहाँ पे भी समझाते हैं इसको. This is stockholder equity portion. Your total equity is 2.38 million. Okay, 2.38 million is your total stockholder equity. But here it contains preferred stock as well. And the book value is only denotes to common stock. Okay, that's why from the equity, total stockholders equity, we first deduct the equity of preferred stockholders. The equity of preferred stockholders is par value of the preferred stock less any dividends in arrears. Since it is a cumulative preferred stock, so the portion is 1.08 million. The residual amounts rest with common stockholders, that is 1.3 million, and 50,000 shares are outstanding. So we will get $26 book value per share. Okay, you can see it for a while, so that if you have any question, you can ask me through a chat box. Okay, let's move to the market value. Market value is determined at the stock exchange. Okay, market value is determined at the stock exchange. After shares of stock have been issued, they may be sold by one investor to another. The price at which these shares change hands represents the market price of the stock. The market price may differ substantially from such amounts as par value, the original share price, and the current book value, which is the most relevant amount. This depends on your point of view. This is a choice of every investor at which price he is going to buy. It is in its own interest, and he has to safeguard and judge what is the reasonable price of this stock. Okay. Okay. Now move to stock splits. What is stock split? Stock split is if your company stocks is selling in the market at $90, it means to buy this stock is difficult for a common man. What you can do? You can do 2-for-1 stock split. It means everyone who has a one share, you will give him 2 shares. Then the share price will decline to 45 per share. ये पहले आपके पास एक शेयर था, वो मार्केट में 90 रुपए का ट्रेड हो रहा है. ओके. आपने क्या किया कि एक शेयर के बदले कहा हमसे 2 शेयर ले लो. एक शेयर के बदले 2 शेयर ले लो, तो फिर क्या हो जाएगा बेटा, मार्केट में उसकी प्राइस 90 से गिर के किस पे आ जाएगी, 45 पे. यू कैन डू 4-for-1 एज वेल. ओके. यू कैन डू 5-for-1. इट्स डिपेंड about your perception and to convert the share price to a tradable level so that your shares is easily tradable in the market. Okay. The stock split is by increasing the number of its common share outstanding. This way you increase the number of shares, and this is called stock split. The purpose of a stock split is to reduce substantially the market price of the company's common stock with the intent of making it more affordable to the investors. Last portion is treasury stock. Treasury stock is those stocks which the company buys its own shares from the open market. Initially, company has issued shares to the open general public, and these shares are tradable in the stock exchanges. Anyone can buy, even the same company can buy its own shares. It is prohibited in certain jurisdictions. Earlier in Pakistan as well, they have a restriction that company cannot buy its own shares, but this is a feature available in most of the countries that company can buy its own shares. So the treasury stock is defined as a share of a corporation's own capital stock that have been issued and later reacquired by the issuing company, but that have not been cancelled or permanently retired. अभी आपने उसको वापस लिया है, लेकिन कैंसिल और रिटायर नहीं किया. If you cancel it, then it won't be a treasury stock. The intention is that you may reissue it, may be issued again at any time. If you want to sell it, you can again sell it in the open market through the stock exchanges. Okay. Whenever you buy shares for treasury stock, the entry would be treasury stock debit and cash is credited. Suppose you have bought 1600 shares of $5 par value at 90 per share. So 90 into 1600, that is 144,000 would be the entry, that is treasury stock debited and cash is credited. Okay. And this is the presentation in the stockholders equity portion. That is the common stock, additional paid in capital, total paid in capital, retained earnings, and this is the total. And you will deduct the investment in treasury stock that you have invested 144,000. So your stockholders equity would be 1.856 million. It means the treasury stock at the value which you have bought will be less in the equity section. Okay. And you can reissuance of those treasury stocks. You can sell it in the market. And when you sell in the market, say you have got 115,000. Okay. And you sold only stocks of 90,000. The additional amount is 25,000. That is called additional paid in capital treasury stock. एडिशनल पेड इन कैपिटल ट्रेजरी स्टॉक. अगर आपने अभी 90,000 के शेयर्स बेचे हैं 1,15,000 में, तो ट्रेजरी स्टॉक 90,000 से क्रेडिट हो जाएगा. अगर आपने 144 के सारे बेच दिए थे तो 144 क्रेडिट हो जाएगा, और जिसके जितने अगेंस्ट उसके केस कैश मिला है तो कैश डेबिट हो जाएगा. Now you can see that you have bought at 144,000 and you have sold off 90,000. It means treasury stock is 54,000. Okay. And later, if you sell the remaining, say you have sold at 45,000 and treasury stock is finished, and now you get less amount, the additional paid in capital account is debited with 9,000. This is simple, following the rules of debit and credit. Okay. Let's see a example of these concepts. That is a demonstration problem. You are required to answer following questions. How many shares of preferred stock have been issued? Can anyone tell me how many preferred stocks have been issued? This is the data. जी महबूब नवाज, आपने रेज किया हैंड. आप इसका आंसर दे सकते हैं. हाउ मेनी शेयर्स ऑफ प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक हैव बीन इशूड? Next question is, what is the total annual dividend requirement on the outstanding preferred stock? हमें एनुअल डिविडेंड कितना देना पड़ेगा बेटा? That is 8%. Okay. How many shares of common stock have been issued? कॉमन स्टॉक कितना इशू हुआ है? ये हमारा एक क्वेश्चन है. What was the average price per share received by the corporation for its common stock? आपको क्या प्राइस मिली थी पर शेयर? What is the total amount of legal capital? What is the total paid in capital? And what is the book value per share of common stock? Assume no dividends in arrear. इन क्वेश्चंस के बेटा हमने आंसर करने. Let's see the first question. How many shares of preferred stock have been issued? You got $12 million from issuance of the preferred stock. Okay. और हमसे कहा जा रहा है हाउ मेनी शेयर्स, हमने कितने शेयर इशू किए हैं? एक शेयर कितने का बेटा? 100 पार वैल्यू का. तो हम क्या करेंगे? 12 मिलियन को डिवाइड कर देंगे 100 से. ठीक है. क्या आंसर बन जाएगा हमारा? 12 मिलियन डिवाइड बाय 100. तो हमने इशू किए होंगे 120,000 शेयर्स. कितने शेयर्स इशू किए बेटा? 120,000, देखो ये आंसर आ रहा है नीचे. We have issued 120,000 shares of the preferred stock. ओके, ये हमें कैसे पता लगा कि हमारे पास 12 मिलियन का कैपिटल रेज हुआ और एक शेयर की वैल्यू थी 100. तो 12 मिलियन डिवाइड बाय 100, that is 120,000 shares have been issued of the preferred stock. Okay, next question. What is the total annual dividend requirement on the outstanding preferred stock? हमें टोटल एनुअल डिविडेंड कितना देना पड़ेगा? डिविडेंड है 8%. ओके, तो हम क्या करेंगे, इस 12 मिलियन का ना 8% ले लेंगे, या 120,000 शेयर्स है ना, इसको मल्टीप्लाई कर दें 8 के साथ, तो 960,000 इज द टोटल एनुअल डिविडेंड रिक्वायर्ड ऑन आउटस्टैंडिंग प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक. आपने ये डिविडेंड देना है. ओके, नाउ देयर इज अ सी क्वेश्चन. हाउ मेनी शेयर्स ऑफ कॉमन स्टॉक हैव बीन इशूड? सेम जैसे हमने प्रेफर्ड स्टॉक के साथ ट्रीटमेंट किया है, यहां पे क्या करेंगे, दिस 14 मिलियन डिवाइड बाय 5 वैल्यू, 5 पार वैल्यू. ठीक है, 14 मिलियन डिवाइड बाय 5, कितना आ गया बेटा? 14 million divided by 5. We have issued 2.8 million shares of common stock. 2.8 million shares of the common stock. C is the requirement. How many shares of common stock have been issued? Okay. Next is, what was the average price per share received by the corporation for its common stock? कि हमें एवरेज प्राइस पर शेयर क्या मिली है? आप देखें 14 मिलियन तो आपको मिला है अगेंस्ट इट्स पार वैल्यू, और कॉमन स्टॉक के अगेंस्ट आपको एडिशनल पेड मिला है 30.8 मिलियन. तो हम क्या करेंगे बेटा, 14 मिलियन में 30.8 मिलियन को ऐड कर देंगे, ये बन जाएगा 44.8 मिलियन, और हम इसको डिवाइड कर देंगे 2.8 मिलियन शेयर्स के साथ. ये जो हमने सी में आंसर निकाला है 2.8 मिलियन शेयर्स के साथ, तो हमारा आंसर आ जाएगा 16. हमने क्या किया है, 14 मिलियन जो पार वैल्यू के अगेंस्ट आया, एडिशनल पेड इन था 30.8. या ये बात याद रखें बेटा, ये भी कॉमन शेयर्स का ही लेना है, ये भी कॉमन शेयर्स का है और ये भी कॉमन शेयर्स का है. टोटल हो गया 44.8. ओके, अब हम इसमें से क्या करेंगे, नंबर ऑफ कॉमन शेयर्स इशूड हमने किया था, यहाँ पे हमने सी में निकाला 2.8, तो 44.8 डिवाइड बाय 2.8 मिलियन शेयर्स, तो आंसर इज 16. ओके, नेक्स्ट इज, व्हाट इज द टोटल अमाउंट ऑफ लीगल कैपिटल? लीगल कैपिटल है बेटा जो पार वैल्यू के अगेंस्ट मिलता है. प्रेफरेंस शेयर्स के अगेंस्ट मिला था 12 मिलियन और कॉमन शेयर्स के अगेंस्ट मिला था 14 मिलियन. सो आवर लीगल कैपिटल इज 26 मिलियन. ओके, व्हाट इज द टोटल पेड इन कैपिटल? टोटल पेड इन कैपिटल में आएगा लीगल कैपिटल, बोथ इज लीगल कैपिटल एंड एडिशनल पेड इन कैपिटल. यानी कि हम इन फिगर्स को जमा कर लेंगे, 12 मिलियन, 14 मिलियन और 31.16 मिलियन. तो ये हमारे पास बन जाएगा 57.16 मिलियन. लीगल कैपिटल प्लस एडिशनल पेड इन कैपिटल, इन दोनों को जमा करेंगे तो ये आपका बन जाता है टोटल पेड इन कैपिटल. लीगल कैपिटल होता है जस्ट पार वैल्यू का, और जब आप पेड एडिशनल पेड इन कैपिटल को भी जमा कर देंगे, दैट इज कॉल्ड टोटल पेड इन कैपिटल. नाउ लास्ट पार्ट, देन वी विल मार्क अटेंडेंस. What is the book value per share of common stock? Now you have to calculate the book value of the common stock. Okay, remember how you can calculate. That is the total shareholders equity, that is 59.84 million, that is available here. Okay. Then you will deduct the preferred stock values. This is the claim of preferred stock. You have deducted it from the total shareholders' equity. That is the equity of the common stock holders. And you have a outstanding shares that is 2.8 million. So you will arrive at 47,840 million divided by 2.8 million, and the book value per share is 17.09, because we have categorically informed that there is no dividends in arrears. There is no dividends in arrears. If any dividend in arrears on the preferred stock, we also have to deduct it from the total stockholders' equity. So this is the demonstration problem of the chapter 11 of the book which we are studying. So hopefully you have understand some terminologies and the purpose of incorporation of the corporation. Okay, let's mark attendance. कुदरतुल्लाह, आप मौजूद हैं आज? आपके असाइनमेंट मैंने चेक किए, उस पर तो आपको बहुत ज़्यादा मार्क्स मिल गए हैं। ओके, हंजला अली अवेलेबल? हंजला, आर यू अवेलेबल? आई थिंक हंजला इज नॉट अवेलेबल. कुदरतुल्लाह इज अवेलेबल. अच्छा जी, हंजला अवेलेबल है. मुजना यासीन, आर यू अवेलेबल इन क्लास? मुजना. ओके, मुजना इज अवेलेबल. ओके. ताहिरा कमाल, जरियाब अली इज अवेलेबल. उम्मे अमन इज अवेलेबल. अनस इज अवेलेबल. ओके. Let me see who is available.